Hello everyone, in this video we will see how to manage the purchase order settings in the purchase feature. For that you have to go to purchase option from the header, then click on the settings icon in the top right corner. So the first setting here is PO numbering. So you can set different serial number for purchase orders, work order and service orders. So that can be done from here. If you want the system generated numbers, click on the system generated and it will automatically assign the serial number to all purchase order and work orders and service orders. So the next one is purchase contact. So you can define a mail ID and a phone number that will be visible in all the PO PDFs. So you can update that from here. Then the third one is terminology, and here you can set if you want the BOQ option to be visible in all the features or the quotation option. Same for non-tender items and outside quotation items. The next one is purchase controls. So while creating PO, if you want the team to add items from BOQ, from material request or from non-tender items, that can be managed from here. Let's say I don't want the team to create PO from non-tender items, so I can disable the option from here. Then we have the approval controls. If there is a budget created for the items and you don't want the team to exceed the budget, then you can enable this option. If someone has added a non-tender item and that item or that PO needs to go through approval before issuing, so you can enable the option from here. Then if the total BOQ amount has been exceeded, if you want to restrict that one, you can disable it from here. Once the PO or work order has been issued, if you want a mail to be sent to the vendor along with the team members, you can set the mail IDs from here. Next one is payment request. If you want to enable the three-way invoice for payment request, you can enable that one from here. Then we have general terms and conditions. So we already have a terms and conditions in the purchase order feature, but if you want a general terms and conditions that will be visible in all the purchase orders apart from the existing terms and conditions, you can paste them here. Or if you don't want it, you can disable that from here also. The next one is PO PDF. You can check or uncheck the fields from here that needs to be visible, or you want to hide them from the PO PDF, you can do it from here. If you don't want to show the HSN code column in the PO PDF, you can keep it unchecked. If you want to add a signature row in the PO PDF, you can enable this option. So this type of fields will be created in the PO PDF footer. The next one is mandatory fields. So while creating the PO, you can set which fields are mandatory. For example, if you want the payment terms and conditions to be mandatory, you can enable these from here. If you want the contact name and number to also be mandatory, check these boxes. Then we have material request. So the site team can also create requests from their app or from the web. If you want approval matrix for the material request, you can enable the option from here. If you want to allow the team to create a request from the non-tender items also, you can enable or disable this from here. The next one is vendor types. In the vendor types, you can manage the vendor types from here. If you want to delete a vendor type, for example, I don't want the lighting vendor type, you can delete this from here. Or if you want to create a new vendor type, you can add it from here also, add vendor type. The next one is mandatory fields. So while creating a vendor, you can make some fields mandatory. That can be done from here. For example, while adding a vendor, you want the contact person number to be mandatory, so you can make it mandatory from here also. In the inventory settings, if you want to make the EV number mandatory, that can be done from here. If you keep this unchecked, then while doing a site transfer, this field will be optional. In the delivery settings, while updating the delivery, the site team you can make this field mandatory so that the site team have to fill these fields. For example, I want the site team to also fill challan number and challan date and invoice number and invoice date while updating the GRM. So you can enable these checkboxes from here. Once all the changes have been made, you have to click on save changes to, so the changes can be applied across the ERP software.